Shalom Aleichem, everybody. We want to speak a little bit about Parshat Behar, really take a look at Sefer Vayikra broadly. Because when you look at Sefer Vayikra in general, you find that the Sefer is divided into two very, very distinct parts. The first half of Sefer Vayikra is how it got its name in Chazal, Torah's Kohanim. And basically it's Karbonos, Parshat Vayikra, Tzav, Shmini, a lot of Karbonos, a lot about the Kohanim. And then in the middle of the Sefer we have a big shift. And in last week's Parsha, Achrei Mos, Kedoshim, Emor, Behar B'chukosai, now all of a sudden we're talking about a lot of different mitzvahs. And now it's not just Avodas Beis HaMikdash, it's not just Kohanim, but it's all of Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael as Mamleches Kohanim Ve'Goy Kadosh. And on a very global level, perhaps there's a message that we have in this division in Sefer Vayikra itself, going from the world of the Beis HaMikdash to the world of the domain, to the world of all of Klal Yisrael. What exactly is the Torah telling us in this structure, in this transition from, on the one hand, again, the world of Mikdash, the world of Kahuna, to the very detailed halachos that you find in the second half of the Sefer from Achrei Mos through Parshas Bechukosai. So perhaps one could argue that really, and this is a theme throughout the entire Torah, is this, if you will, yin-yang, this process of traversing between the world of Kedusha and the world of Chol, of the mundane, and attempting to go ahead and bring Kedusha into the mundane. We have a lot of starts and stops. We enter into the domain of Kedusha, then we're supposed to bring that Kedusha with us into the regular world that we live in there every day. And then that regular world informs our world of Kedusha, and there's this dichotomy that goes back and forth. Perhaps this is highlighted, number one, when it comes to Shabbos, is that we have Sheish Yimei Chol, then we have Kedusha Shabbos, which is supposed to be a time to refresh, to recharge, to invest our 6 days during the week with Kedusha, take the recharge of our batteries of Shabbos, now use that and push that into our days of Chol, endowing those days of Chol with Kedusha. And indeed, I believe that's the message in the beginning of Parshas Behar of the idea of Shemitah, where we're told, Daber el Bnei Yisrael, this is Perek Chav Hey, Pasuk Beis, Daber el Bnei Yisrael, Ve'amarta aleihem ki savo el ha'aretz asher ani nosein lachem v'shav sa ha'aretz Shabbos la'Hashem. Shemitah, in a very, very real world, is a Shabbos la'Hashem. It's not a day-long Shabbos, but it's a year-long Shabbos where the very same themes of Shabbos permeate through the entire year, where we have an opportunity to let everything relax, let the land relax, let us go ahead and recharge our spiritual batteries so that we can go ahead and reconnect to Hashem, and now the next 6 years take the koach and the force of Shemitah and bring that into the 6 years that follow, and then again use those 6 years to invest the next Shemitah year with its uniqueness. And again, there's this big yin-yang. I heard a very beautiful idea last night in a shir by Rav Benish Ginsburg, and he points out, Rav Hirsch has this theme throughout, and he points out the Korban Shlomim that we have is the epitome of this idea. The Korban Shlomim is a very, very unique Korban. It's brought, of course, in the Beis HaMikdash, but it can be eaten outside the Beis HaMikdash. As long as it's eaten within the confines of Yerushalayim, you're allowed to take the Basar Hekdesh and you bring it onto your dining room table. Again, you're taking the Kedusha of Mikdash and you're eating it in your dining room table. And indeed, it's striking. The Korban Shlamim, you bring it during the day, it can be eaten that day, the next night, and then the next day. 2 days and a night. Very, very striking manner in which the Korban is eaten. You see, in the Jewish day, typically we view night and then day. Night begins the day, and then we have day follows night. That's the way it normally works. In the Beis HaMikdash, it's very different. In the Beis HaMikdash, the day begins in the morning with the Korban Tamid Shel Shachar and ends, if you will, at the end of the day, and night follows day in the Beis HaMikdash. That's how the Beis HaMikdash operates. We bring Karbanos in the day, and the fats are burnt overnight. In the Beis HaMikdash, night follows day. Korban Shlomim is very, very unique. You have 2 days to eat the Karban with 1 night in the middle. What's that all about? Mimanavshach. If you needed 1 day, so 1 day. 2 days, a full 2 days. What's this business of a day and a half? A day, a night, and then a day. What exactly is that all about? So as we pointed out, the Korban Shlomim represents this concept of taking the Kedusha of Mikdash and you eat it in your house. You can eat it, as long as it's in Yerushalayim, you can leave the Beis HaMikdash and eat the Basar HaKarban on your dining room table. You take from the holy and you bring it into the mundane, and thereby you endow the mundane with Kedusha. So that's exactly what this carbon does in terms of the timing of the Achila. It's very, very striking. Is you bring the carbon during the day, that's when the Beis HaMikdash begins. Its day begins during the daytime, not like everywhere else. And now you can eat it by day, you can eat it by night, and then you have the full next day, meaning that you go ahead and take the carbon, the basar, and it transitions from a Beis HaMikdash day, which begins day, then night follows day, and now it transitions into a outside the Beis HaMikdash day. You have that night to eat it, and then the following day, day follows night. You hear what I'm saying? Is that the carbon shlamim is the idea, the very timing of the carbon shlamim, this is what Rav Hirsch points out, is you're taking from Kedusha and you're bringing it into the regular, ordinary day. So you're taking the physical basar and you can eat it in Yerushalayim outside Beis HaMikdash, and the timing merges a Beis HaMikdash day into a regular day. And perhaps that's the entire Sefer Vayikra, is telling us you take the Kedusha of Kahuna, of Mikdash, of Karbanos, that's the first half of the Sefer, and that has to now inform and impact every aspect of daily life, which is the parashas that we've been reading the past few weeks. Achremos, Kadoshim, Emor, Bahar, and Bechukosai, taking that Kedushas Mikdash and us becoming Mamleches, Kohanim, V'goy Kadosh. That's exactly what Shabbos is. The Gemara tells us that one of the ways to be Kona Olam Haba, there's one way to Kona Olam Haba is to live in Eretz Yisrael. Another way is to teach your children Torah. The third way is to leave wine over from Havdalah to next week's Kiddush, from Havdalah to Kiddush. That's compared to Yeshivat Eretz Yisrael. That's compared to teaching one's children Torah, to leave wine over from Havdalah to the next week's Kiddush. No, but the idea is to take from the Kedusha of Shabbos and transition that into the week, and endow the week, bring that Kedusha into the week. That's the message of Shabbos, and that's really the message of Shemitah, is to take this 1 year, this year of Shabbat LaHashem, and to go ahead and recharge that the years after by learning Torah, by taking a break from the Avodas HaKarka. We have that ability to recharge, allow the land to recharge, allow ourselves to recharge, and thus endow the rest of our lives with that sense of Kedusha. In a very, very real way, I think it was not too long ago, a few days ago, I'm recording a couple of weeks before Parshat Behar, but we lost Rav Aaron Lichtenstein, a tremendous, tremendous gadol, and someone asked me this past Shabbos, was I a Talmud of Rav Aaron? And my answer to him was, in the past 4 or 5 days, I've learned more from Rav Aaron Lichtenstein than for the rest of my life. I was not a Talmud, but I've learned so much from him, from the Hespedim, and really the tremendous midos and sitkos that he represented. And one thing I remember reading from him not too long ago was how we approach Shemitah. And when it comes to Shemitah, there are different ways of approaching, and many in Eretz Yisrael approach Shemitah as like we want to avoid Kedusha. We don't want to engage Shemitah. We want to do an end around Shemitah. We want to avoid payros that have Kedusha Shvius. And that's not really the ideal approach. The ideal approach is we want to embrace Kedusha. We want to connect to Kedusha. We want to tap into the Kedushas Haaretz, the Kedusha of the payros Haaretz, and thereby connect to Kedusha. Because by doing that properly, not just circumventing Shemitah, but engaging Shemitah, not avoiding Shemitah, but experiencing the Kedushas, Peiros, Shvius, Haaretz, that now enables us to become uplifted, and then the years after Shemitah enables us to bring that unique Kedusha, the lessons of it, into our daily life thereafter, and hopefully endow those years with Kedusha, and thereby setting us up for the Shemitah years that follow. And that's really what we endeavor to do. That's the challenge, and certainly the opportunity of days like Shabbos, of years like Shemitah the year, and certainly of the Sefer Vayikra in total, to go ahead and take the visions of Kedusha, the Torah Shlomim, to go ahead and tap into that Kedusha and bring it into our daily life.